It's time for the Hockey Writers Grindline, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy the grind.
Welcome to the Hockey Writers Grindline. I'm your host, Patrick Brown. Joining me as always are my line mates, Devin Little and Kyle Knopp. And we are truly grateful that you've joined us for this episode. And let me tell you, we have absolutely no time to waste today because we have a jam-packed show ready for you. In the short time that's elapsed since last week's show, the Red Wings have changed their lineup rather significantly, to be honest. So we're going to dive right in and let's talk about it right away. And let's jump into, first of all, as we tape right now, the first round of the NHL draft is happening. And the Red Wings have already selected at 6. We are awaiting pick 22, but at 6th overall, the Red Wings selected defenseman Simon Edvinsson, which caught a few people by surprise. Cider-esque, perhaps, if you will. But we want to get some instant reaction from our experts and my line mates here. And Kyle, we're actually going to start with you because Devin, the next topic, we're going to lead off with you. So Kyle, let's start with you. Your thoughts on Edvinsson being picked 6th overall by Yzerman.
If you've watched any of our other shows recently, if you've read any of our writings, I think you will know that I am A-okay with this selection. I was kind of on the Edvinsson bandwagon from the beginning. I was high on him. I think he's got a lot of upside, a lot of great potential. I think he's going to bring a lot of skill on that back end that we need from the left side that we were hurting on until we got Nick Leddy. So I'm pumped. I would have loved to have seen Eklund in that spot fall there since he was there. I would have been quite okay with that, but give me Edvinsson all day to pair up with Cider for the next 10 years.
Already dropping the Leddy bomb. Your spoiler alert here. Spoiler alert. Really good points, Kyle. Really good points. Devin, coming over to you. Your thoughts on the Red Wings pick? We've been waiting for it for a while now.
Well, you can't drop the Leddy bomb like we did last week. That's for sure. But I think Kyle closed off with the point that really sticks out to me. I don't remember which week it was, but I said that one of the things that you'd like to see Detroit come out of this draft with is a guy that you point to and say, hey, that's Cider's D partner for the next 10, 15 years. And I think Simon Edvinsson fits the bill. He's a Swedish defenseman, and we know how much Detroit loves their talent from Sweden. So he can hang out with Berggren and Raymond and anybody else they might bring in over the next couple of days here. He's got a lot of upside. I think that he's a little rough around the edges. I think he might take a couple of years to kind of really start to become a NHL talent, but the potential is real with this kid. I think that he very much has the potential to become a top pairing, minute munching defenseman in the NHL.
Devin, putting you on the spot really quick. Who did you have or prefer at 6?
Like Kyle, Eklund was there, and I was crossing my fingers that it was going to be him. But hey, another Swede, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm curious, and that's what I was going to say. Is I was on the Jesper bandwagon. That changed a little bit since even in the last 24 hours, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But like you just said, Devin, we heard Sweden. Everybody heard Sweden.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to be okay. We didn't even need to know who the name was yet. And you heard Sweden and you kind of knew it was good things. So I joke about Cider-esque, and I don't think it was quite the surprise when Moritz Seider was selected. But with Eklund still on the board, I think a fair amount of people expected to hear his name. Quick shout out to the University of Michigan as a whole. Kyle, I know you gotta love it. But my goodness, that team, 3 of the top 5 picks. Maybe too early to call it, but I'm going to pick them for the national championship. Call me crazy. So
I'll put money on that against you right now. I honestly, and I don't want to alienate half of our listeners, but I honestly think that Michigan's going to end up being one of the bigger busts this year. That's my hot take for the CCHA, or I guess they're not the CCHA anymore. The Big Ten.
You heard it here first, viewers. Hold these two accountable.
Did you see how I baited Kyle right into that?
Yes.
Right into
You knew like
gotta start off with some fun. Good stuff, and a great pick for what it's worth. I never claim we would joke about my beer league GM ability, if you will. I think it's a fine pick. Super happy with it. I think we're going to see him make huge strides, Devin, to your point, as he grows a little bit. He's got some maturing to do. He's got to put on his big boy pants yet. So we'll see how that goes and how long that takes. But there's potential there. And as everybody knows from watching Moritz Seider develop, there is no counting out Yzerman and Draper and then the picks that they've made the past couple of years. So excited to see what happens with pick 22. Now, as we eagerly await that pick 22, let's talk about a few other additions that have happened to the roster in just the last week. Huge deal yesterday, depending on when you're watching this, yesterday being the 22nd of July, if you will. GM Steve Yzerman traded the rights for unrestricted free agent Jonathan Bernier, or he will be on the 28th, and a third-round pick for Canes goalie Alex Nedeljkovic. I practiced that, and I still think I messed it up. Pretty stunning move, to be honest. I don't think many people expected that. Curious, your thoughts, Devin. I want to start with you because you put out an article that night on what that means for the Red Wings and your thoughts on what picking up Ned does for the rebuild and for the Wings situation and goalie, which just got a giant shove forward, in my opinion.
I want to start by highlighting Jonathan Bernier because he has been an absolute soldier for this franchise over the last 3 years. There were, even this past season and then the season before, very good, strong argument to be made that he was the Red Wings MVP. I wish him the best of luck, whether it's in Carolina or wherever. Sad to see him go, but very happy to see a young goalie like Nedelkovic come in. He is 25, very unproven, so there is some risk with this for sure. But what you're essentially doing here, or what Yzerman's doing here essentially, is trading a third-round pick, a late third-round pick at that, that was acquired in the Thomas Tatar deal a few years ago, to give Nedelkovic a 2-year audition to prove that he's the Red Wings goalie of now and into the future. I think that's a pretty good risk and good gamble to make. Very low risk and potentially very high reward.
Yep.
We're talking about a guy who was a finalist for the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year. Grew up in Ohio, knows the area, is friends with Dylan Larkin. I can go on and on about why this is such a good fit. But long story short, I'm just excited to see him suit up in the winged wheel. I'm excited about this ad.
Couple of interesting notes on this trade. First, Nedelkovic was arbitration eligible and was seeking 3.5 from Carolina. And interestingly enough, he immediately agreed to terms in Detroit, 2 years at $3 million apiece. I think it's 2.5 and 4.5 if I'm not mistaken, but an annual hit of $3 million. So took 500,000 less, or $1 million if you add that over, when he signed with the Wings. So interesting note there for sure. And to your point, Devin, about Bernier, and I thought you did a great job of that in your article. He even said in the offseason he wanted to see it through. He really enjoyed being a part of this team. So mad respect to Bernier. Kyle, I'd really like to get your thoughts on Ned and what this means to the Red Wings rebuild.
First off, if you have not read Devin's article, pause, go read it right now. I mean, he does a great job of laying out, what Ned's been through the past year, how he played this past year, how he really kind of came into his own in that Calder race in the second half of the season, and just kind of what this means for the Red Wings moving forward, short term, and then potentially long term, if he does play to this potential that, Yzerman's letting him audition for, so to speak. So I think it's a great addition. I we went back and forth on who we thought the Wings might go after in free agency. We threw Allmark out there a few times. We threw Drieger out there before he was picked up by Seattle. We never really talked about, Carolina, except maybe they would have to get rid of Reimer or Mrazek. And it comes down that we get Ned, who's their youngest of the three and probably has the most potential and the highest ceiling out of those three. So I love this pickup. Like you said, he's from Ohio. He played his juniors in the OHL in Plymouth, which then moved to Flint. I got to see him firsthand when I was with Saginaw during that time frame, and I always thought he is a phenomenal goalie, and I'm excited to see him in Detroit this year.
Absolutely. And a couple of other footnotes as we progress through talking about this deal. Remember, Ned cleared waivers in January.
Yep.
Now, there are theories that float around, completely unconfirmed.
Yeah.
But Kyle, I might have been talking to you about it, in fact. I think I was. Where there seems like there might have been a gentleman's agreement last year in the NHL to kind of let waivers just go through, potentially unconfirmed, but that could have played a role in why he was placed on waivers in January and cleared. But nonetheless, he did. And you have to think the wheels of motion in Stevie Y's head maybe started then. Maybe wondered if he could pounce then. Maybe he was disappointed Ned played so well in the playoff, because it just never seemed like Yzerman's attention was focused on Wallstead like I would have liked to have seen it anyways. But I digress. Great move. Puts the team in a strong position short-term and potentially long-term, depending on how it works out. And the biggest thing is you don't hardly lose anything.
Right.
You lose pick 92 and you lose someone who was going to be an unrestricted free agent. So it's not like Yzerman gave up a lot for this deal. I think it checks off all the boxes and it's a great deal, in my opinion.
For me, that's what's crazy to me is that, are you telling me seriously nobody else in this league offered more than a 3rd round pick for him?
For a Calder finalist?
What?
I know. And I get, so maybe Carolina was convinced he was a flash in the pan, as was the rest of the league, perhaps. We won't know, but
we'll know by next year.
Oh, for sure. And again, somebody likened potentially this could be Yzerman's Ben Bishop moment, if you will. Devin or Kyle, it was one of you before the show. So props to you guys. You're on fire today. You don't even know it. But all right, that's enough about Ned, because we got another person to talk about who Stevie Y dealt for. Who had Nick Leddy on their list of off-season acquisitions? Anybody? So before the Ned deal, this was actually before the expansion draft. Last
Friday, we broke it on the show.
We broke it, if you will, for Richard Panik and a second round pick, Nick Leddy. Caught us all off guard last week. We've had a week to process the information. Devin, your thoughts on the deal for Nick?
It's funny. We started off by talking about Edvinsson and how he's kind of the long-term fit alongside Seider. I think Leddy is the short-term answer along Seider going into next season. And I think that is something to be very excited about. One other thing I do want to note is that when you're in the middle of a rebuild, it makes sense to bring in veterans to surround your kids with guys with experience, right? And usually when general managers and hockey people talk about bringing in veterans, you kind of get this mental image of guys who are like in their mid 30s, who are kind of like a Bobby Ryan type, to be blunt here. And those aren't exactly the most exciting people, because they're in the back 9 of their career. Nick Leddy fits that to a T. He does not fit that description. He fits the veteran description.
Yeah.
But he's only 30 years old. This is a guy who fits today, and he also could fit in a couple of years. He very well could sign an extension. He adds offense to the blue line. He has experience. And real quick, while I'm talking, a trade was just made. I am breaking all the trades.
Oh. You're breaking. You get to break. I was trying to break it this one. But please,
the Red Wings.
Somebody say it.
The Red Wings have moved up to pick 15. Boom. I do not know what they sent to Dallas, but here they are. They are at pick 15. We do not have to wait.
This is our goalie pick,
picking
boys.
Right now?
They're picking right now.
They are on the clock.
So
they traded the Dallas.
Are we at 5 minutes? Who did they trade, by the way?
Dallas. Well, we don't know.
We don't know what they traded, but they traded with Dallas.
Who's on the board right now?
Dallas.
Wallstead is on the board.
No. Is Wallstead still on the board?
Yeah, Wallstead is still on the board.
Oh, come on. This is happening. I can't believe this.
We're gonna get him
now.
Okay, real quick. Let's finish up Leddy while this happens.
Yeah. They just are announcing the trade. Yes. I will be quick.
Your thoughts on Nick Leddy, Kyle. Everybody, remember, everybody's watching this. It's being recorded, so we don't have. We can wait to break it until after you're done. So, Kyle, your thoughts really quick on Nick Leddy and what this means for the Red Wings, short term and potentially long term.
I think this is a great move. Devin just alluded to it all being the short-term move to pair someone with experience with Seider and kind of take him under his wing and really show him how to be a professional in the National Hockey League. So I think this is great. Leddy has played under Barry Trotz's system for the last few years, so we know he's very defensive minded. He's going to be a great, responsible fixture in our own zone. He's going to play the type of hockey that Blashill loves. So I think this is a great pickup. And it reminds me, as this pick is coming in, of kind of a Mark Stahl, but way, way, way better. Kind of like how we took on Mark Stahl last year, but times 5. So I'm very happy with this. And I am super excited to see how we do with Leddy back there.
Makes sense. So I want your attention for 2 minutes. Wait, do not make the pick because I'm going to pay some bills before anybody hears.
I can tell you what the Stars acquired first, though.
Yeah.
They got our 23rd pick, our 48th pick, and our 138th pick in the
so Detroit now only has 1 pick in the second round, but that's okay.
138th pick really just throws it over the top for me. Come on.
But pay our bills, and then we'll announce the trade that no one will know about because we just announced it now.
It's true. Let's take a quick timeout. Gather ourselves. Thank you guys for watching this show. We love it. We love your comments. Give us a like, subscribe. I love seeing all the subscriptions on the Hockey Writers channel, and we love all your comments. So much good stuff on here, and tune into all of these this week because holy cow, Blackhawks banter is going to have a lot to say. Sabres scoop is going to have a lot to say. And the OG show with Mark Shegg, who covers Columbus, is going to have quite a bit to say. So make sure you tune in to all these shows. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up for a morning newsletter. Get the best hockey news delivered to you however you want it. If you want us to send a carrier pigeon, we'll send a carrier pigeon. So however you want it, let us know. And thank you again for watching. Now, is the pick in yet or what?
No. They were going to Little Caesars Arena, tempting us as though they were going to announce the pick and then started the clock over. So should we pay bills again?
I've got one quick filler that we can talk about.
All right.
Let's talk about ESPN's first crack at hockey. Well, first crack at hockey again, because I was perfectly fine with the 90s. Expansion draft, pretty interesting production there that they put on with the expansion draft. So
that's for sure.
I'm not sure. I'm curious for your overarching thoughts. Personally, I'm not going to mince words. I was incredibly disappointed. I was actually joking that maybe they leaked because every pick got leaked so that nobody tuned in to watch what was just a debacle for ESPN's first broadcast. No disrespect to the city of Seattle. I think hockey is going to flourish there. And I'm jealous that during my time there, they didn't have an NHL hockey team, but going to be great. But also Seattle fans booing Gary Bettman. I mean, we get it because we've all booed Gary Bettman, but what are you booing? Getting into the league? You got to wait a year. You got to wait a year at least until you get hosed in the draft.
Yes.
And then they change the rule the next year because you got hosed in the draft. That's what you got to wait for. All right.
The pick is in.
I stalled. I killed enough time. What do we got?
Oh boy.
What do we got?
Is it?
It's a goalie.
Oh boy. Who'd he take? Which one?
It is Sebastian Cossa.
He took Cossa. He took Cossa over Wallstead at 15.
He traded up to take.
That is going to have some people are going to have.
We have a Ben Bishop and an Andre Vasilevsky potentially.
Oh, I would rather have the Vasilevsky though. Oh man.
So, all right, let's dial it in. I can appreciate.
Why do we trade up for him though?
Well, because I don't know. I can't answer that. I'll pull an Yzerman. You should ask them that.
Fair. Yeah, that was rough.
So, all right, let's get some instant reaction here. Okay, we'll start from the top. But we'll piece a few coherent thoughts together.
Yeah.
And I'll start because just right off the cuff, with Wallstedt and Cossa both available, it's surprising that Yzerman took Cossa. Very, very surprising in my opinion. And it's even more surprising that he traded up to do that when both Wallstedt and Cossa were available. Now, that said, we're at pick 15. The Red Wings had to wait till pick 22. And they're not just throwing darts. They have an idea of what's going on. So there's that. Maybe there's another deal yet to come. Maybe Cossa is getting traded. So, well, that's my take. Devin, your take, because you're enjoying this.
This is fun. We gotta do shows when stuff is happening more often.
Wild stuff.
Anyways, yeah, holy cow. I mean, what more can you say? We talked about a week or two ago about how the Red Wings didn't have that guy in the pipeline in terms of goalies that you point at and go, hey, that could be the guy. They have a guy now that you point at and go, hey, that could be the guy. He was 17-1-1 this season in the WHL. Mind you, I think you should take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, considering it was a COVID year and it's not like they were playing, every team they could possibly play. And, there's all sorts of things that were going on there, but 17-1-1. And he had, I don't forget what the number was exactly, but his numbers are fantastic. He's huge. He's, again, like you, I'm a little curious about Cossa over Wallstedt, but hey, he's a goalie, and they just added they had just addressed two of their biggest needs. This is nuts.
Yeah, he's a goalie, and he, no disrespect to Wallstedt either, but to Cossa, I mean, but they constantly said, a lot of the reviews that I would read, the scouting reports that I would read would basically say, if Wallstedt wasn't there, he'd be the number one goalie prospect. So it's interesting. By the way, shameless plug, Google Detroit Red Wings draft prospects, Sebastian Cossa, because somebody may have done something.
Shout out to Kyle and Pat for writing the prospect profiles on our two picks this tonight.
Yeah. Kyle.
I'm fine.
Well done. Well done. And so Kyle,
that's your morning skate crew right there.
I love it. Let's get your thoughts on Sebastian Cossa being selected by the Red Wings at number 15 overall.
To say I am shocked is an understatement. The fact that we were 7 picks away from having him where we were and still having 2 other picks later in this draft kind of is a little mind-boggling to me. Obviously whatever Yzerman saw, he knew that the teams between Dallas and where they were really needed a goalie, and probably there were 2 teams that really needed a goalie, or else why make that move? So, I'm going to trust him in the long run, knowing what other teams need. Obviously, he's been doing these calls for free agents, for potential trades the last few weeks. He's been doing his homework, so he's ready. So we can only trust it. And 6'6" is huge for a goalie. You brought it up best.
Oh yeah.
He's a Ben Bishop, and Bishop fared fantastic in Tampa Bay under Yzerman's leadership. So, who's to say that we should suspect anything less? So, am I shocked? Yes. Am I excited for this pick? Also, yes. I think, we now have to give him the reins and let Cossa just do what he does. And if we can get even a shell of a 17-1-1 and a .942, I think, save percentage goalie that he was this past year, I think we're okay.
So here's the caveat to that, and Devin, you called it out a little bit, but I want to reiterate, he had a stacked team in front of him.
Yes.
Going 17-1. Now, I don't mean to take anything away, but he's not going to come in all Spencer Knight-ish and start winning playoff
Yeah.
games. That's not going to happen, which is part of the reason why they got Ned to bridge that gap.
Right. Okay. And banking or piggybacking off of that point, I think I like the Nedelkovic pickup even more now.
Yeah.
Because if he pans out, he holds down the fort now and gives Cossa as much time as he needs to develop into the goalie that he was just picked to become.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's going to be really interesting to see how this one ages.
Yeah.
Thanks for having some fun with me, guys, because that's the second week in a row. How much fun is that? And the fact that Kyle and I put our brains together and accurately predicted who Yzerman would pick in the first round means we clearly need to be added to the front office. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Clearly need to be the front office, and more reason for you to give us the foul. Read our stuff, watch our show. We obviously know this stuff and have this insider information that we will tell you about on occasion. So just pay attention to us. No.
And by the way, we do need to give Ansar Khan
absolutely
live props for putting Edvinsson second in his rankings with Yzerman, because obviously
that's what did the trick.
Yeah, clearly. So, all right, it's tough to move on from that, but we still have some other things we got to talk about. So let's move on and talk about expansion draft. We've been talking the whole show about additions to the team. Now I want to talk about who the Red Wings have lost or kind of what we're looking at moving forward. So let's talk about the expansion draft first. Some moves with Leddy made it kind of cloudy on who was going to be protected, who was going to be exposed. At the end of the day, Cliff Notes kind of came down to Stecher, Nemestikov, or Cholowski. In my opinion, those three were the ones that kept kind of coming up. And as we all know now, Seattle selected Cholowski from the Red Wings for the expansion draft. So, boy, Troy Toy stays. But I didn't even say it right. Boy, Toy Troy stays in Detroit.
He's in Detroit.
And everybody, including Mark Stahl. Mark Stahl might be opining for a contract now as we speak, because with Stecher hanging around there. But it's great news. I think it's great news. I love the fact that Seattle picked Cholowski. I think it'll give him a chance to start fresh. And we all know how much that can mean to some players, and wish him all the best. Kyle, I want to start with you this time. Your thoughts on losing Cholowski to the expansion draft?
I'm fine with it. When
I
we
thought
were
that
talking,
was going to be it.
Literally.
Boom. No. We talked about this a little bit leading into last week, and especially with being able to keep Stecher. We thought he had played himself into a protected spot over the season and throughout this past offseason in the World Championship. So, I was a little more worried about losing Stecher, as we still need to develop some of our younger right-handed defensemen. But I'm fine with losing Cholowski. I thought he was okay this year. He wasn't super impressive. He was a healthy scratch for part of the season. And right now he's slotted in like this 7th, 8th role in Seattle. So they went big time D heavy, meaning tall and strong big guys. So taking a Stecher didn't make sense for them. So Cholowski made it the most sense for them. And yeah, he's going to be kind of buried on their roster, but that's only going to help Detroit in the long run.
Absolutely. Devin, your thoughts not only on losing Cholowski, but what does he bring to Seattle?
So,
if you're going to tell me there's another trade, I'm done.
No. Anytime I go to talk, it's just going to be a thing now. No, I'm excited for him because this is a clean slate. And I think that he's definitely somebody, along with Svechnikov, that needs a clean slate. I hope that he gets that opportunity. To Kyle's point, it does look like he's on the outside looking in right now, and that's exactly where he was with Detroit. But when we talk about Cholowski, when we talked about him before this expansion draft, it was always he could be this, he could do this. It was all coulds and woulds and shoulds. But it never panned out, and we're talking about a 23-year-old here. The book is not out on him by any means,
right?
But time is of the essence.
Yes.
And it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen in Detroit, whether it's because of how Detroit plays or the other guys on the team, it just seemed like he kind of was stuck.
Yeah.
And going to a clean slate team like Seattle gives him the opportunity to be unstuck.
Yeah.
I wish him nothing but the best, because we all see it. The kid has so much potential. He genuinely has the potential to be a power play quarterback and be one of those offensive defensemen that really pushes the pace from the blue line. But it wasn't going to be that with Detroit. What this does for the Red Wings going forward, maybe Yzerman looks to bring in another left-handed defenseman in free agency, because Cholowski kind of creates that void. But it's not so much of a gaping hole that he has to fill it. Cholowski was a 6th or 7th defenseman on this team. You know, you don't need to jump all over yourself to fill that hole. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely. And you know, I think we all like Cholowski. We all wanted to see him succeed. At some point when you're on a rebuilding team and these young prospects keep coming up, you got to click. Yep. You got to click or you move on. And you hate to say it, but it's a business as well. And the Red Wings have a lot of prospects coming up that they're going to want to see the ice here in the relatively near future. So next man up, make the most of your opportunity, and let's see what happens. But Dennis, we certainly wish you the best. And thank you for your time in Hockey Town, because we enjoyed watching you for sure. Hey, I stumped for 11-7. to see him. So in any case,
so is that going to change next year? Are you back on the 12-6 boat
traditional? TBD.
We'll see how the lineup shakes out.
We'll see who else Stevie deals for first.
Fair.
So on that note, we've got one more thing we want to touch on today, I believe, which is. Pardon me, because my agenda got all messed up with that. Our favorite, Toy Toy Troy. He stayed. And as I maligned before, everybody, especially Mark Stahl, is happy about that one today. Personally, I was thrilled. I'm not going to lie. I would have been somewhat upset had the Red Wings lost Stecher. Yes, he's only got a year left, and assuming things go the way that they probably will go, which is maybe a more competitive team, but certainly not a playoff caliber team just yet, he might have the opportunity to be flipped at the deadline for something as well, if need be. But happy to have him. I thought, again, any defenseman who makes Mark Stahl look good at this stage in his career certainly has shown something. I think he's played very well. And I think he's made the most of his role in Detroit. So I am ecstatic that Stecher is staying in Detroit. Devin, your thoughts on Troy giving it another go in Hockey Town?
I think the biggest thing, there's two things that really stand out to me when it comes to Stecher staying. One, I think I said it a week ago. I named him Detroit's best defenseman this season, and keeping that player on the team is huge. And then also beyond that, he's a trading asset. He's a trading asset, and he's also potentially a long-term piece. He's only 27. If he sticks and he looks as good as he did this season, you can extend him. If you want to make room for some of your other guys, I bet you can get something nice for him. Yep. It's nice to keep quality players, especially when you thought they were on their way out.
Yep. Kyle, bring this crazy show home and tell us your thoughts on Troy Stecher remaining in a wing wheel.
100%. I agree with Devin right there. I just alluded to it a little bit ago as we were talking about losing Cholowski, but Stecher to me played his way into a protection spot. I mean, he made Mark Stahl look like a formidable defenseman. He gave Mark Stahl some draft capital not draft capital, but trade capital at the deadline. And in my mind, he made Owen Power the overall number one pick by playing with him throughout the World Championship. So just to be able to be that type of guy, by proxy or by association, that says a lot about his skill set, we should say. He's a natural leader. He wore the A for Team Canada this year and helped lead them to that gold medal. He was big in some of those overtime games that really kept them moving forward in that tournament. He's got that offensive flair that we don't get to see within Blashill's system, but he can play that type of game and he can really provide that spark. So I'm a huge Stecher fan. He really won me over this past season, and I'm very happy to see him stay there this year. And like you said, I think this is perfect for Detroit because, he could be someone that we kind of build around on the back end with Seider and now Leddy and Edvinsson, or he's someone that, at this deadline or next deadline, you flip them, like we did with John Merrill and get something that we, out of nothing basically. So I love it. I'm so happy that we did not lose him to Seattle. That was probably my biggest fear going into Wednesday night. And so I'm very excited to see Troy, the boy toy, back next year.
I think we all are in agreement on that, much like we've been in agreement for pretty much everything tonight, with the exception of Michigan Wolverines national champion.
Forever and ever, my friend.
I had to get one more shot in there. We got to thank you, the viewer, for spending yet another kind of crazy show with us. These things kind of come out organically, and we have a lot of fun bringing it to you. Really enjoyed the comments last week. Keep them coming. Give us a like. Give us a subscription. Follow us on Twitter. And thanks again for joining us. Can't wait to recap everything for you next week. And we will see you then. So thanks again.